Yeah, 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 yeah. What's good, yeah? So, like on this video, guys, I wanna show you how to spiritually cook. You understand? As I said, right, I'm gonna teach you guys how to, or give you ideas, right, on how to what, how to spiritually cook, right? You as a spirit, right, as an individual, how you cook your own food that you love. You understand? So now, a lot of you, right, who watch my channel are already spiritually, uh, like you have got the fundamentals, right, of spirituality in general. So now, I'm gonna make it a little bit more basic and concise, right, for people who have less inclination spiritually, right? So now, we have, like, think about it this way. Think about your ideas, right, as the ingredients, and the success or failure of those ideas as the type or nature of the food that you've prepared, right? If your food is well cooked, so the ideas, right, are gonna determine if, because the ideas are what, the ingredients, so they are gonna determine if your food is gonna be well prepared, right? Or if your food is gonna be good in nature, aka tasteful or bitter, because you could have, or you can cook the most presentable kind of dish, right? But still, it will taste like a very bad, right? So, meaning that looks have nothing to do with the taste of the food that you're gonna cook, aka the success has nothing to do with the ideas that you're gonna come up with. You see, every idea is important, but now the nature of the meal that you've prepared will be determined by what, the ingredients that you come up with. Understand? So that you can, because ideally we want a nice dish, right? We want a nice dish. So now, if you want a nice dish, what do? You come up with nice, or you jot down, you pick up, you script down nice ingredients that you know, okay, if I can mix apples and this and this and this, then it's gonna taste good, right? Because you know apple tastes good, this and this and this tastes good, right? So when you mix, the combination of all of that is gonna be what, tasteful, right? So now, the ideas, they have to be, if you want to to succeed, right? The ideas have to be nice in nature. The ingredients have to be nice in nature. They have to. So how do you know that the ideas are nice? They feel nice, right? They feel nice. The reason that you eat anything is because you think it's gonna feel good to eat that thing. So now we gonna consciously, right, train ourselves to pick up on ideas or get ingredients or identify ingredients for ourselves instead of like letting our mind idle, right? We're gonna deliberately pick up on ideas or ingredients, right? And jot them down. Boom. Every time you get an idea, even if it's out of, even if it's like in a fucking random basis, right? You can just jot it down. You can just like use your phone to record it. You can do a lot of things. So now, the more ingredients that you have, the nicer ingredients that you have, the more you can combine, right? The more likely you can find the right combination, right, for our ideal food that you are trying to cook, right? So now, you need to have the right ideas. How do you know that the idea is right? It feels right. right? The key is feel. So now we understand that, okay, we've got the nature of the idea that we want, right? It feels nice, it feels good, and it's not even like delusion or deluding, right? It's true, it's organic, right? It's not an idea that is being driven by reason. You understand? It's by external, or not even external, by reason in general. It's an idea that is just organic in its nature. It's sufficient, you understand, to say, okay, this idea, if I can execute it, then it's gonna feel good. And the better I execute it, the more good it's gonna feel. Understand? So now you can decide to take it slow, aka get these ideas and execute them slower, or you can choose to pack all these ideas into one and execute them. And from that, you're gonna have a bunch of recipes, right? You're gonna have a bunch of recipes, and that bunch of recipes, you're gonna always limit. Let me say, for example, for your first recipe, right, of the first ideas that you've acted upon, because ideas you're gonna get one, but as you get more, you're gonna realize that, okay, these 5 are connected, they are actually one thing, and then you execute them as one project, one task, whatever, one day, one activity, whatever you wanna call it, right? And then after you execute those ideas, they become what? A recipe, because now you have experience around those ideas, right? You have more fluidity, you have more ability to play with those ideas, just based upon the fact that what you've acquired wisdom, you've acquired experience, right? So now you have one recipe, right? Maybe say for that recipe you are cooking maybe a banana loaf, right? A banana loaf. So you are trying it out of ignorance, right? You didn't even like try to discover what it actually takes for you to prepare a nice banana loaf, right? So now you just bought the ingredients, right? And then you tried it anyway without getting or even writing down how you're gonna do it. You just tried to do it because you think logically it can be possible for you to do it that way if you have the ingredients, right? And now those ingredients, you're gonna use them however you use them the first time. Boom, okay. And then you get what? A recipe. You can only get a recipe after what? After you execute on your ideas. That's what you have to understand. Because the recipe is the recipe. In the recipes is the experience. Without the experience, there's no recipe. It's just those ingredients and you trying to make a recipe with them. But once you get the wisdom, the experience, then that experience then becomes the recipe, the first recipe, that experience, right? Because after you prepare that banana loaf out of ignorance and not knowing how to actually do it, you're gonna come to a point whereby you taste it, right? And then you make a conclusion to say, okay, but it's not bad, it doesn't taste bad. It's just that maybe if I can add a few bananas on top of that, right? And then boom, that's the first correct ingredient that you have for the first recipe that you're gonna make, right? Okay, boom, banana, boom. And then you see that, okay, I've added bananas, but still it's not sweet, it lacks sugar or some sweetness. And then boom, you're gonna add. And then after a while, right, just based upon one experience, you're gonna be able to have a much more better banana loaf the next time you prepare it. And remember, banana loaf is just one idea. You might be having thousands of ideas, so you need to, around those bunch of ideas, you need to find the one that is in resonance with who you want to become currently, right? You can't just run for presidency, right? At the same time, you want to become a rapper or you love rap. You have to look at the resonance first, because that's where you are spiritually in space, right? As separate from others, that's where you are in your own space, right? At this time, in this moment, with what you have. So physically, when it appears, it's you being here with the ideas that you are able to develop at a certain time in a certain year. Understand? For certain reasons. So now, like as you get these recipes, right? Because as I said, a recipe is what after you execute on your first ideas, right? Because it can be one idea, right? To say, okay, I want to make $10, right, in 2 hours. I want to make $10 in 2 hours. The first day, you might go out, right, and try to hustle it however that you wanna do it, like boom, okay. And then you discover that you made maybe $5, right? And then you realize that you could have made way more if you did this and this and that, right? And then from that, you can now script down the steps that you need to take, which are what? The execution, aka recipe. Now you have the recipe, right? So now once you have the recipe, the success, like remember, if you want the money will always follow your success, right? The success of what? The ideas that you execute, right? So, like, the success is like, the success is like a temperature, you understand? The success is like a temperature. So, if you get the correct temperature, right, then those recipes will come out good, right? And in case of maybe, for example, you have a food store, right, a restaurant, a mini restaurant, right, a takeaway store. If people love your food, right, then they're gonna buy it more and more and more, right? And then when that happens, what do you do as a good salesman or businessman? You invest more in that business, right, to make it better and better, aka what? You now learn how to tweak the amount of ingredients that you can use, as well as the temperature, how far you can go, how far you can expand within a certain period of time, you know, whether it's business or it's just spiritual inclination, right? AKA, how many ideas can you formulate and execute, right? Determines the kind of spirit that you are, and the way and the measures that you take, and the degree that you are willing to go for you to actually execute those things will determine the nature of your spirit. And the nature of the thing that you want to execute will determine the nature of the spirit that is trying to execute it. If it's a strong or a weak spirit, because you can be anything, right? You know that. We all know that. Anybody can be anything that they want. But go and be anything that you want right now. Go and be it right now. And try to see what's going to happen. It's because of you haven't developed the right ideas, right? You haven't come up with the right ingredients. And on top of that, you don't even know the thermometer. You don't even know the temperature that you need to be in for you to actually cook the right food, right? What temperature does the food that you're trying to prepare need? Because if the food is in the right temperature, then by default, and considering that the ingredients are right, then by default, it's gonna be a success, because one thing, right, other than ideas or the ingredients that determines whether you win or lose or get what you want or don't get what you want is the degree to which you are willing to go for that thing, right, and persist in going for that thing, aka your temperature, right? How much are you willing to bottle up? Not even bottle. Damn, I almost lost all of you. Let's cancel that. How much you are willing to narrow down, right, to one thing and then actually make it how you envision it to be, because that's what it is. A dream is just a vision, and then you want to bring it down here, right? So now the ways in which you attack that, right, will determine whether you are going to, because you don't, some people, right, some people, they put a lot of force into things and you can see it. Some people put less force into things and you can see it. But in that, you can find the most like awkward of results, because you'll find that the person who's actually trying hard is getting less, and the person who's actually trying less is getting more. It's because of, now, once you find, as I said, other than ideas, it's success. Right? So if you can find the temperature, aka if you can be emotionally in the success that you want, right, then the ideas will follow. Or if you have the ideas, then you will clearly see the temperature that you need. Understand? So it's either this or that. It's either the, what is given, what is a 6? Because this is a 3-6-9 sequence, right? What is the 6 here? Is the execution. The execution is what you are always paying attention to. It's what's in the present, right? So you don't have to worry about the 6, the execution, the recipe, right? You don't have to worry about the recipe. You don't have to think about how the recipe, or what the, or you don't even have to take anybody else's recipe, aka daily habits of a day in the life of. Understand? You don't have to look into things like that for you to develop your own recipes. You can just get the ideas, or be in the right temperature, right? Be in the right frequency, vibration. That is in alignment of to what you call success, aka what you want, right? Because if you are not in the temperature, then you will never get that result that you are looking for. But as I said, the 6, the execution, it doesn't matter. You can execute it in the most layman way, understand? And then you can get most of the result that the person who puts much more effort into it prays to get. You just, it becomes like you're just doing you, and they're just forcing it. But then you don't even need to compare or compete with anyone once you understand this 3-6-9 sequence of what, of spiritually cooking, because that's how you cook spiritually. You have the 3, right, which is what, the knife, right? No, the knife is the 9, because it cuts, it brings out the temperature, so that it takes temperature out of the equation. Understand? So it's the knife, the 9, because the knife can then, let's not even talk about the knife, let's talk about the frequency behind the 9, right? Aka in between anything, right? The 9, the night, the darkness, you understand? The afterlight, in between anything. Look at it this way: life, death, life, death. So it's light, dark, light, dark, right? So the night, or day, night, day, night. So the 9 is in between the night, the knife, the cut, the darkness, the light in between light. That's how you can look at it. But there's a lot of ways to look at it. You can look at it anyway. You can look at a shirt and actually describe anything, because they are connected, But you have to learn to see these connections. You don't even learn, it's just based upon experience. The more willing you are, right, to experience the things that are hard for you, the more you can become wise and learn from them. That's all. That's it. So, as I said, don't worry about the execution, aka the 6. Worry about the 3 ideas. The 3, the third eye, the eye, the 3, the 9, the cut, the transition, the ascension, the light after the light. You understand? And then the 6 is what's being paid attention to. The execution, the recipe, the present moment. The now is the 6th dimension. When people talk about the 6th dimension and they say being in the now, that's what they mean. Paying attention to the now. And when you do that, when you pay attention to the now, you get the 7, right, which comes from, because the 6 being what's being paid attention to, right, creates a learning curve, right? A learning curve. So that's why that 6 now becomes a 7, right? But you have to understand that numbers don't come this way. The numbers is 9. 9 is 1. 8 is 2. So where we are right now in the physical, 8 becomes 2 because we are upside down, right? We are down. But the number scale doesn't change because we are down. No. the 1 is there, it's not here. But from us, we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then from there, they count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here where we are, to them it's the 9. And here where we are, to us where they are, it's the 9. And here is the 3. And to them where they are is the 3. And here is the 9. And what we are paying attention to is the 6. The time, the 6 is not the time, but the, like, I'm trying to make an example with the sand. What do they call this? The time sand. You know, that fucking bottled up thing that uses sand. There, that initial point there, that's where we are paying attention to, so that we can see the spectrums in both sides. You understand? It's like we are looking into a mirror that's reflecting the side that we have transported to or entangled ourselves to. But that's another video, because we're gonna be lost into these words, entanglement and all that bullshit. So now, that was just me like explaining the fundamentals, right, of how I even got to this idea of how you can cook as a spirit, right? Not using your body, not using these hands, not using the pot, right? You're gonna be using the wand, aka your imagination, your wand, your wonder, your state of wonder, right? It's your imagination. So you're gonna be using your wand to cook in your pot, aka your cloud, your smoke, your imagery, right? Your transformation of images, right? From one image to another. The more you are able to do this, the more you are able to build up a story, or build up a life, build up a frame, build up a sequence of events for yourself, instead of having them come your way. You understand? So again, I'm gonna on other videos explain or teach you how to use Jamashia, right? Or because people they like to confuse things. They will say Jamashia is the study of adding up numbers, right? But we don't add up numbers, we add up words, right? Using what they are tones, aka yes, tones are numbers, right? But on a different frequency, they become what we call tones, right? Or colors, or other things, right? Or frequencies at their lowest, at their thinnest, state, right? So that's how you cook. Hippie soul in the building, man.